So, since it's Halloween time, I thought I would do recommendations for the horror streaming service Shudder, which has a 7-day free trial. This is not a paid promotion or anything like that. I'm just letting you know. I wanted to recommend some horror movies, and I had an actual horror movie aficionado, JaxBlade, give you some recommendations as well. I don't know if I'm the most knowledgeable horror person. I think I know like the basic classics and things like that. When looking at this streaming service, I felt really inadequate because there's like a lot of horror movies I've like never heard of. But I think I know enough to basically recommend particular classics and cool movies that are on there that I like. Some are kind of, your basic big horror movies that you should have seen at this point. Some are not. And then we'll get to JaxBlade. But yeah, I also at the end will recommend some other horror movies that are free. If I know people are hit financially at these times, you can watch that. Also, this will be in segments, basically my recommendations, Jax's, and then some free stuff at the end that are just random horror movies as well. Okay, so first off, I want to recommend, and it's a newer movie, which is kind of a cool cult movie. I wouldn't even say it's necessarily a horror movie, but it leans that way, I guess, called Mandy, starring Nicolas Cage. I know they have Color Out of Space as well, which I haven't seen. Maybe I will while I have Shudder for now. But it's actually a pretty cool movie. Nicolas Cage has been good at making some interesting cult stuff, either a decade ago with Bad Lieutenant and Port of Call, New Orleans, or with this. Personally, I like Port of Call a little more, but Mandy's still a lot of fun. It's a good, crazy, weird, acid kind of horror movie. If you've never seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that is on here. From my understanding, I think it was restored. I'd heard that before, not sure. It is a grimy, dirty kind of horror film. You might need to take a shower afterwards, but you'll have a good time. If you've never seen Texas Chainsaw, the original, you should. It is a classic film. As well as, this is very basic, but they have the 1978 original Halloween. If you've never seen that, that is a Halloween classic in my heart. I used to watch it every Halloween. One film that I think really I was a big kind of, I wouldn't say champion of, but I would recommend a lot when it came out in 2013 is the WNUF Halloween special. This was actually directed by a guy I mean, we're friends on Facebook and stuff, Chris LaMartina. We ran in the same circles in Towson, Maryland, but it's a cool found footage film because it's basically the idea of it is if you found a VHS of this Halloween special and it has commercials in it, it plays like a broadcast of this kind of crappy TV channel going to a haunted house and broadcasting on Halloween, and things don't go the right way, but it plays like you found this cursed tape or something like that. It is really great. It literally does seem like you bought a VHS at the flea market or something, and it's paced and worked out in the right way. I've seen a lot of cool articles about it, especially this year. I like that more people are finding it. It is a great horror movie, the WNUF Halloween special. He actually sent me a tape, which I still have, and I treasure it because that is a great movie to have on VHS. You never get it on VHS, but it's on Shudder, and you can just pretend you watch it on VHS, I guess. I know he actually put VHSs of this at various places, but it is a really cool movie. I would highly recommend the WNUF Halloween special because it really does feel like watching something recorded off of TV in the 80s. Zombie, which is the famous kind of sequel follow-up, a weird Italian follow-up to Dawn of the Dead, not legally, has a zombie fighting a shark. What more do you need to know? Demons, which is by Argento's son, I believe, has zombies in a movie theater. It's a fun movie. I don't love it. Some people really love this movie. I just think it's sort of fun, but it is a fun horror movie. If you're looking for something a little cooler, The Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. I remember this was a big deal when it came out. We don't hear as much about it. As a definite cool poster. Yeah, it kind of, this director, I guess, I don't know what she's doing now. She did The Bad Batch and no one really got us into that. But The Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night is kind of a cool, artier horror right when that vein was picking up. They have Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which Elvira is just cool. I like Elvira. She's just like a really funny, body positive, awesome person. And I remember watching this movie as a kid and thinking it was funny. Maybe I'll rewatch that. That sounds fun. This isn't a horror thing, but I happened onto it that they have Robert Kirkman's Secret History of Comics. If you haven't seen that, it's actually a pretty cool show. It has nothing to do with comics. I don't know why it's on Shudder. I think it's because they're owned by AMC Networks, but it's there. Cannibal Holocaust, if you're looking for absolutely the most disgusting horror movie you could ever see, which is also the basis of what would happen with the Blair Witch Project, you should see it. It's interesting because it is probably the first found footage film, and it also brings up more of the morals, to be more of the idea of the morals of if you found the footage and what would you do with it and how would you react to it than any of the other films ever had. It's interesting that the first found footage movie talks more about the morals of having the footage of someone being murdered more so than any other found footage film did. WNUF Halloween Special is also sort of a found footage film, but that's as if you found the footage, you the viewer, which is sort of interesting because there's always the idea, who found this footage? Where did it come from? Anyway, it has Phantasm, which is a great kind of sci-fi kind of horror thing. I really like Phantasm. It is a cool movie. It has the other Phantasm sequels, which I've never heard as great things about, but Phantasm is a cool, weird sci-fi kind of horror thing. You should definitely check that out. Also, Deadly Games. This I'm going to watch while I still have Shudder. Here's the thing with Deadly Games. It was a bootleg. It was sort of an infamous horror film. A lot of what Shudder does is find these really obscure horror movies that barely got a release. This was like a bootleg in America. It's sort of a Home Alone Die Hard thing, and it's like a Santa Claus type person is trying to break into this kid's house, and he sets up all these Home Alone type traps. That's what I've heard of it. I haven't watched this. I'm just recommending it because I've heard about this on bootleg for years and years. When it came on Shudder, I saw all these things on Twitter about it at the time. I actually it's like a Christmas theme movie, which this might not be the most appropriate Halloween thing, but I'm just going to freak out and geek out about it because it's there, and I think I'm going to watch that. You probably won't see the review until Christmas anyway, but I'm just excited that it's there. Sometimes when I do these recommended things, I just pick a thing that I actually am going to watch. So I haven't watched it yet, but it looks cool. I know that's breaking the thing I should do. And I have two more things. Ganja and Hess is a really cool 70s arty horror thing. Before you got to Jaws and 80s horror and 70s horror really got like kind of geared up. 70s horror could be weird and surreal and stuff. There wasn't really rules, and Ganja and Hess does that. It stars the lead from Night of the Living Dead and is actually really cool. I know Spike Lee remade it recently, which I didn't see, but I'm not really into the idea of him doing that, but I've always really liked Ganja and Hess. It is a really strange, kind of weird horror film, and if you're into that, it's really cool. As well as Bloody Birthday, about 3 kids who on their birthday decide to murder a bunch of people, so that's always fun. As well as, and I found this on the app, that is John Carpenter made a theme for Shudder. So if you're on Shudder and you can just type in John Carpenter, it has Halloween, it has body bags, whatever with body bags, but it has a new music exclusively by John Carpenter for Shudder. You can go check that out. Anyway, let's now go to JaxBlade, who's going to recommend his own horror movies on Shudder. He is definitely a horror movie aficionado and is going to recommend way cooler things than I will, and let's hear what he has to say and cool movies to watch on this Halloween.
Oh, hey there. Thanks, Jim. And yo, dudes and dudettes, your friendly neighbor JaxBlade here today. And I just want to give a shout out to Jim for letting me do this because I love horror. And Shudder is one of my favorite streaming services to talk about favorite horror movies. So what I'm going to do right now is give you 5 personal recommendations of stuff that you should definitely be checking out this spoopy October. So let's go. Alright, first up on this horror list is something that I really love and I have to watch it every October, and it's another anthology film like our certain boy Sam over here. By the way, check out Trick or Treat if you haven't already. But it is a horror film, Creepshow. Now, I absolutely love Creepshow. It is a perfect blend of all these various anthology stories of just, horror, body horror, animal creature horror, zombie horror. There are so many different aspects to go at, and it has like itself where it's very tongue-in-cheek in some areas, but there are some areas where it's just like, okay, that is just horrifying. And I love showing this to everyone every October. Highly, highly recommend Creepshow if you haven't already. Fun anthology series with a fun little Crypt Keeper knockoff, even though technically I wonder if he came before Crypt Keeper or something like that. But anyways, I highly recommend checking out Creepshow. By the way, it's just a great thing. And then watch Creepshow 2. I believe Creepshow 2 is also on there as well. And then after you watch that, you'll understand this reference. Thanks for the ride. But anyways, moving on to the next one. After that, we've got the horror documentary Into Darkness, which just talks about all the classic 80s horror movies that we know and love, and like all the stuff behind the scenes about them, learning how they were made, learning about the process behind them, and learning about all their legacies and stuff like that. It is such a great experience, especially if a horror fan, or if you're just someone who loves people like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Chucky, all these classic 80s slashers. You will definitely love checking this out. Highly recommend it. It's on there right now, and you can check it out for yourself. Next up, here's one for y'all who just want like not something super scary, but something that's going to just give you a fun night out. Like if you're just drinking with some buddies, or if you're just, well, I guess we wouldn't be doing that because we're in quarantine if you're good, and that's how we fix that line. But if you were just wanting to chill at home and watch something with some gore, but not too scary, and actually will crack you up a bit, that is so bad it's good, then I actually recommend checking out Tammy the T-Rex. I watched it with a couple friends recently. We were laughing our asses off through the entire thing. Like the dinosaur animatronics are just so bad. The way certain characters act are just ridiculously cartoonish. It is one of those so bad it's good movies, and it will honestly keep you cracking up if you don't take it too seriously at all. This is a movie that I don't look at like to go, oh, this is gonna win an Oscar. No, this is definitely some Razzie level crap, but it is hilarious all the way through, and I highly recommend checking it out. So go bless yourself. But in the same vein of something that's horror comedy, but this one's more of a horror in the aspect and actually pretty well done on the rewatch, that would be the movie Brain Damage. Now, if you haven't seen Brain Damage, it's about this little worm that comes from outer space that is trying to consume brains. And the way it does this is by latching on to people and bonding with them and making them feel really good. And then shenanigans ensue with, you can already guess what, the movie's called Brain Damage. So I highly recommend this one. This is one I always watch just like occasionally because I remember it from my childhood. Like, what the heck was I watching in my childhood when I watched it? But the voice of the worm was actually done by John Zachary, who, if you don't know that is just a horror icon from the 70s, 80s. Great voice actor, very spoopy time voice actor that everything he did was just so great. Rest in peace. And his voice as the worm is just so incredibly well done and so entertaining and so charming, and then he does horrible things, but that's what makes it great to watch, and highly recommend Brain Damage. And my final pick is most definitely Rise of Leslie Vernon Behind the Mask. It is a phenomenal mockumentary about this slasher who, in his world, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, all these like well-known slashers, they're real. They're real in his world, and he idolizes them, and he's trying to become like them. And it just talks about all the slasher tropes of like, okay, if the kids are running this fast, how am I just gonna walk after them and make it look like I'm actually keeping up with them? And so like he talks about like the whole thing of how when the time comes, he's sprinting left and right, and he has to do so much cardio, and then like the makeup they put on to prevent themselves from burning and all this other stuff, and how to survive like being killed, and how to like stay underground. It's just such a great movie. I highly recommend it. It goes from being like comedy to like getting gradually worse as the movie goes on, sort of like a man bites dog scenario. And oh my god, I love this movie. Cannot recommend it enough. It needs more praise. It needs a sequel. It just needs everything about it. Like, I love Behind the Mask, Rise of Leslie Vernon, and all of these are on Shudder. You can check them out for yourselves. Again, Jim, thank you for letting me join you today, and I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Keep calm and booyah on. Don't forget, a moment's high. I gotta go film some videos. So see ya.
Thanks, Jax. That was cool. All right. Thank you very much to JaxBlade for helping me out with this video and giving some true horror fan Shudder recommendations. You should sign up for Shudder. It's actually a pretty cool streaming service. I actually quite liked it going through it just now. And you can tell a real horror fan really likes it, like JaxBlade. You should check out his channel. He makes some really great content. Now, before I go, here are some films you can watch that are just horror classics that are free, that are not just on Shudder, because I know everyone's hurting right now and looking for stuff. But here's some good ones for any horror fan, because I get a lot of like, what should I watch during my horror movie watch month, basically. Night of the Living Dead is free. It's in the public domain. It's on YouTube. If you've never seen it, it is right there. Some people have restored it. There's many different versions. You can check it out. As well as Peacock, for the most part, has mostly Universal, classic Universal monster movies for free on that service. You just have to sign up. Some are under a paywall. Most are not. They don't have everyone, but if you're trying to like make a lot of, watch a certain amount of horror movies a month, old horror movies are short, so I would recommend that if you've never seen some of those as well. Anyway, I just wanted to throw those out there because I know people are looking for cheaper ways to watch stuff right now. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed these Shudder recommendations. If there's a movie on Shudder that you would like to recommend, please leave it below in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to myself as well as check out some stuff from JaxBlade. And thanks for watching.